Okay, so this is how to create a solid model from a 2D segmentation. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to load our segment that we created in the previous segmentation tutorial. Load our path, and that's what I've done there. So you can see in my groups, I have my aorta group from the last segmentation tutorial. Now we're going to want to duplicate this surface and call it aorta test. Same group. Duplicate the group, and there it is, all the same points. And we do this because we're going to want to manipulate this aorta test group and move it around and delete stuff and still have our aorta group saved. And go ahead and see how it says use in model. There's under the operations, you check use in model, because that's the one we're going to want to manipulate and delete stuff. So parasolid we cannot use. We can't use parasolid. We got to use polydata. You got to pay for parasolid, and we don't have access to that. So I'm just going to use polydata to create my model. And you're going to go just create pre-op solid model, and I'm just calling it model 1. That's what I named it. And you're going to get that pop up. That just means it's done. And you can look through, and you have 3. So there's the cap. That's the other cap. So you can see it highlights yellow, and then the wall, and it highlights yellow. So this is your model. It splits it up into the different pieces for you, which will be useful in the simulation portion later. And now when you type P on the keyboard, you can toggle, and you can turn it a yellow color. So you can see here. So when we turn it yellow, it's still, there it goes. It's just because it's easier to visualize, and you can change the opacity. So change selected opacity. You can see if we put it to 0.5, it becomes very light. And you can see if we go even lighter, it's so we're going to go down to 0.2, and it's nearly fully transparent. It just makes things easier to see, easier to work with. So now if you had one of those segments, so this looks pretty good to me. Oh, this is how to change the color here. You can change the selected color from red to, I think we're going to make ours blue. It's really just up to you, whatever you want to do, whatever you're working with. And so say that one of your segments there, one of your contours it was giving you a bump in your model or something. You could go ahead and delete one of them, and so you say don't display full model, and then so mine look alright, but this is just if you wanted to, how to get rid of one of them. And so I'm fooling around with it here. And so if we had done it at like a branch, so like right there in those 2D and 3D slices, that was like a branch vessel, and it would give you a bump if I would have done a segment there, and if say you wanted to delete that segment, this is how you would do so. So we're coming to our aorta test group. We're going to click on it, highlight it, and say display that group. And to make it easier to see, because they're right on top of each other because they're duplicates, I made it green. There it goes. It's now green. And say we want to delete. You're also going to press P to highlight one of these rings. So you hover over it, you hit P on your keyboard, and it turns yellow. And then you just come, so it's yellow, it's selected, there it is, the 151 point, and you just go delete members under member operation. And it turns white, and that's because the group underneath it, the aorta group, is white. So it deleted the aorta test group, and now we can loft. If we select the aorta test group, there's a little X there under use in model. So we already created a model doing that, so we can recreate it, and it'll be recreated without that contour there. That contour wasn't creating us any problems once again, but just if you wanted to get rid of something that was causing you problems, this is how you would do it. So this is model 2. I'm going to reloft it. It's going to look pretty similar. Again, there's the pop-up. And it's pretty much exactly the same as the last one. So now to see what we think of it, you can get a better idea of how your model's doing by clicking on the point cloud. You can see it's pretty good representation. And if you wanted to get even better idea, you just change the opacity, and you can really get a good look. And it's maps it pretty well. There's some spots of overlap, but it's a pretty good representation so far. So now we're going to go ahead and hit P, and this is a problem I had. So there's all these lines here. It's not smooth when you change it to yellow. So I just changed. What we want to do is change the facet max edge size to 0.1 rather than 1, and apply it. So we go 0.1 and then enter. And then you come to model operations, copy the selected model, and now you can name it whatever. Model 1 copy, and now we should see a completely smooth model. So I'm going to go ahead and say don't show this one, do not display, and show the Model 1 copy. And it's still got those lines. It should be completely smooth. And I think I show in the tutorial, yeah, here I go. So look at that, it's completely smooth compared to the one above, which has all those rigid lines. And this one's completely smooth. And mine looked about the same, so maybe that's something to do with polydata. I'll have to figure that out, but that's a problem I'm documenting here. So now we're going to want to create a branch vessel. So I'm going to go into the paths and create a new path. I'm calling it right iliac. I'll give it a new name, number of spline points 200 rather than 300. And so go ahead and start creating it down that you're going to attach the axis like we did in the path tutorial. And just start moving down that right side of the aorta. And each time you move down, you're pressing T on your keyboard, trying to keep it even. And you can see with the slider bar how it works. And then you're just going to keep building that path down that. Keeping it in the middle of your circle, representing your right iliac. And there, so I just skipped ahead. I finished it all the way down. You can see it stays within pretty well, all the way down. And then the other side, our original path that we made, it also just once again stays within our model or our image. And so now we have the two paths, and they overlap. You got to make sure you overlap them when you create them. So there's our spline, and what we're going to do now is create contours down it like we did in the segmentation group. So it's kind of putting it all together. And you're going to want to, I did this with manual. You could probably do it with threshold or batching as well, but I just did manual. And so I go around hitting A and then closing the path with C and adding them to the group afterwards. And so I finished that, did all of those, and there's what it looks like, my model all the way down. And to show with the point cloud that it's pretty well mapped, that's what it looks like. and I'm pretty happy with that. So now this is a problem. I wanted to manipulate it, and it's different in the tutorial online to manipulate. So if I go to member operations, manipulate, I say show spline, I get this error message. And then I do the same thing. I say I want to go to manipulate and show image, and I get this error message. And I'm not exactly sure why. It's a problem I'm documenting here. Error could not find. So that's a problem. That manipulate is if you wanted to adjust any of these contours here. I mean, they're fine, but if you wanted to adjust them, that's what you would do. So now we're creating our bigger model. So we have the first model that we made displayed. You're going to select all points that you have and go to member operations and align all points. So you align all your points and display the surface. And so now our models are connected. And that one should have shown up in dark blue as well. I think I fixed that. Yeah, there it goes. I had to select it all the way from the top. I'm not sure if I did that, but now they're all in blue. We have one model that's just one together. Go ahead and say use surface. Use the model. Get rid of the aorta test. Not use surface, and then select our right iliac. We go to model. And now we're just now giving it a new name. I don't think I could decide on a name quite yet. It took me a while to settle on one. But we're going to call it split vessel. And there's our model. Looks kind of funky. I have a fix for that in a second here. But it's got all these different caps. All these different walls. See, there's one cap. And then the wall of our original one. And then the wall of our new one. Yep, and highlights all of them. And so I'm just showing here, there shouldn't be those contours there, those blue contours. And I'm not sure, this is another problem I'm having. I'm not sure how to get rid of them. And I go do not display groups. Display groups. And if I display the group, they show up in white. If I don't display it, they're still there in blue, and I'm not exactly sure why. So that's something I got to figure out. I'll make a tutorial on it later. And now you can go ahead, color and opacity. I'm just changing the selected colors in my groups. Made that one blue. I think I'll make the aorta red. And to get rid of that background there, it's kind of hard on the eyes. It should just be red and blue. Yep, there it goes. So you have to select all of them, go to surface visualization. So to get it all just, so there it goes, just red and blue, none of that background. We don't display the other group. And so there's our split vessel. And we're going to save the model under split vessel. Make sure you save it. And that's how you create a 2D or a solid model from a 2D segmentation.